Building an F1 team is not akin to assembling a weekend racing team. It's a huge, multi-million-dollar business that takes not only cars, but also infrastructure, research, staff, and technology. So why is it so expensive, and how do teams get by on scraping together these enormous amounts of money? From acquiring the appropriate technology to coping with the incessant changing of rules, starting an F1 team is a task few could even dream of accomplishing. Stay tuned to learn a complete analysis of the expenses and difficulties that go into this very costly endeavor. Research and development, R&D. First things first, any new F1 team requires an advantage. And that advantage, it is derived from a lot of research and development. The R&D budget is responsible for the majority of expenses in the initial phases of establishing an F1 team. From aerodynamics to engine capabilities, every little thing counts when it comes to making sure your car performs. It's not only about speed, there's more to it than that. It's about ensuring your car corners tighter, accelerates quicker, and consumes less fuel than your competition. We're discussing hundreds of thousands of hours of wind tunnel testing, simulations, and prototype development. And do not even get me started on the software for data analysis, which is mind-bogglingly high-tech. With regulations changing all the time, last year's magic may be worthless this year. So you'd better have an army of engineers on the payroll and a blank check for said development. Staff and salary. With this car at least attempted to build, now you need an army to drive it into being. Recruiting the right workforce is another investment-heavy but obligatory aspect of initiating an F1 team. It's not simply the drivers on which we speak, though multi-million-dollar earners they are, yes. An F1 team requires a grand army of workforces. From strategists to engineers, data analysts to pit crew, you'll require hundreds of individuals working round the clock to ensure everything is in prime condition. Add to that the team principals, scientists, and mechanics who all play a part in creating a championship-winning vehicle, and the wages quickly add up. And if you're going to recruit the creme of the crop, you'll have to pay for the privilege. For instance, the technical director would cost a team up to $2 million, 0 cents per year, while a super team driver will pull in at least $10, 0 cents, $50 million, 0 cents yearly. With it comes to running a team. Individuals are more valuable and are costly. Facility costs. You've got your tech, you've got your team, now you need an arena worthy of holding everything in the world. Whether it's a factory to build the cars, a wind tunnel for aerodynamics testing, or a simulation room to tweak strategies, you're looking at millions in infrastructure. Teams like Mercedes and Ferrari have state-of-the-art headquarters that cost tens of millions to set up and maintain each year. This includes the purchase and upkeep of their facilities, which house everything from the manufacturing of car parts to full-scale testing equipment. And then you have to budget for maintenance, security, and rent in some of the world's most expensive locations. So if you want your own F1 team, you'll be spending big money on these cutting-edge, purpose-built facilities even before you begin racing. You're talking about shelling out $30 million, 0 cents, to $50 million, 0 cents, just for facilities. Pods, cars, and equipment. And now onto the nuts and bolts, literally. The price of constructing an F1 vehicle isn't low. Although the precise figure depends on the team and their technological strategy, a new Formula One vehicle can cost more than $10 million. 0 cents. That's just for one vehicle, by the way. Every year, teams usually end up constructing several vehicles to have a few reserve vehicles in stock in case of any issue while practicing or during qualifying. Besides the car itself, the parts, the tires, the brakes, the engine's suspension, are highly specialized and expensive. You've also got to account for the costs of transporting all of your equipment to each race location. Flights, freight, and logistics add up quickly, easily totaling a few $1 million per season. Regulatory compliance and fees. Here's where things get complicated. F1 is heavily regulated by the FIA, by the teams themselves, and by the industry in general. This means that starting a team isn't just about money, it's about jumping through a lot of hoops. To enter F1, you'll need to pay a $100 million, 0 cents, entry fee to secure a spot on the grid. And once you're in, you must abide by everything from technical rules on car design to financial rules such as the budget cap. This may seem like a minor thing, but remaining compliant with F1's constantly changing rules requires constant vigilance and adjustment. Add in legal advice, the expense of regulations, and the expense of addressing any rule changes, and that entry fee suddenly looks like pocket change. Marketing, sponsorships, and commercial partnerships. After you've constructed your car and established your team, how do you generate revenue? Through commercial partnerships and sponsorships. As a new team, you'll have difficulty getting high-end sponsors immediately, but major brands want to be part of F1 because of its enormous global following. The key is to connect your brand to a sponsor's target market and prove that you can provide visibility. Teams can bring in millions in sponsorship money, but you're likely beginning with uphill battles to land those deals at the start. That's why F1 teams tend to stick with multi-year sponsorship deals with sponsors who share their vision for the long haul. With branding your team on cars, uniforms, and in the media, those first couple of years may not bring you a profit, but they will definitely get your name in people's mouths. The big takeaways on launching an F1 team. When it comes to launching a Formula One team, there are layers of complexity. It's not simply about the car, it's the infrastructure, the people, the partnerships, and the risk factor. All these things together make F1 one of the most costly sports in the world to participate in. Just imagine getting into a field where the price of failure is in the millions, but the reward can be just as enormous with the right plan and a little bit of good fortune. So, what's the bottom line? Yes, establishing an F1 team involves a huge financial outlay, but it's also a huge gamble. But for the right mix of money, drive, and vision, it's a chance to be involved in one of the globe's most elite and exhilarating sports. If you've ever thought of getting into F1, know that the road ahead is long and filled with challenges, but it can also be one of the most rewarding pursuits in the world of sports and business. Sponsorship deals and partnerships. Another massive factor in the cost of starting a Formula One team is securing sponsorships and partnerships. If you've ever wondered how F1 teams afford their mind-boggling budgets, the answer often lies in sponsorships. These agreements can range from small partnerships with local brands to multi-million-dollar contracts with global giants like Rolex, Shell, or Pirelli. For example, some F1 teams sign deals worth hundreds of millions just to display a brand's logo on their car and gear. It's really a big budget marketing effort with an ROI that only the deep pocket can pay. But here's the catch. For a new team to even get their foot in the door of sponsors, they have to be very attractive on and off the track. That translates to a highly promising driver lineup, competitive on-track performance, and the capacity to market the team well without a robust sponsorship arrangement. Even the most daring team will not be able to accommodate the required infrastructure, such as the wind tunnel, research facilities, or the high-end factories that F1 teams use to build their cars. So, how much does it take to establish a Formula One team? Altogether, it can quite easily cost more than $200 million, 0 cents, to launch your very own F1 team. And even with that enormous upfront investment, there are no guarantees of success. Actually, a lot of teams barely manage to turn a profit during their initial seasons. But with the right mixture of capital, technology, and racing fervor, you may yet be able to become part of F1's elite. As ever, managing an F1 team is about more than scorching rubber. It's a high-risk, high-reward operation that combines business with sport. So, would you invest in an F1 team if you could? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more deep dives into the world of motorsport, and share this video with anyone who's ever dreamed of owning an F1 team. Stay tuned for our next video where we'll break down the most expensive F1 crashes in history and the price of wrecking a $20 million 0 cents car. Until next time, keep your engines running.